Okay, where we left off, we had just finished tracing our template onto 4 final white pieces of paper in pencil. Now we're going to take and label each of these designs with a different color scheme. So you're going to want to use your Kandinsky color cut up plan sheet that you took your notes on over the different color groups and color schemes. And we're going to do number 1 now. Select 4 different color groups or color schemes to use in your artwork by placing a star by the name. So the first one that I'm going to pick is secondary. So I'm going to take one of my papers, and I can choose whichever one, they're all the same right now, and I'm going to make sure my name and hour is in the bottom right hand corner, and then I'm going to take and write the name of the color group, so secondary colors, and then I'm going to go ahead and write out the colors that belong to this group, so orange, and if I want to I can even write out how the color is made, so it'd be yellow plus red. Then I can write down violet, which would be red plus blue. So you'll notice with each of these it's 2 primary colors that make the secondary color. So my last one is green, which would be yellow plus blue. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a little note that I'm going to use the O, V, and the G to mark where these colors are going to go. So not only do I want you to mark out the color scheme with the colors on the back, I want you to make note of where those will go on your painting. So here maybe I start with violet in the middle, then go green, orange, violet, green, orange, and then in the outside area I'm going to do violet. You want to have your entire paper filled with color, so make sure you account for that as you are labeling where your different colors go. So this is my first one. I'm going to set it off to the side so I can see what colors I've used. So then I go back to my sheet and I can decide on a second set. So I selected monochromatic. So I'm going to go ahead and take another blank paper. On the back I'm going to write monochromatic. You might see a slight hint of writing. I did this earlier to demonstrate in my classes how to label these before I recorded this. So I'm choosing green as my color. So I did light green, which is green plus white. I have green as my original color, and then dark green, and which would be green plus black. And notice that I've only chosen one color off the color wheel for monochromatic. Mono means one, chroma means color. So I could do this for any color on the color wheel. I could choose red and make a light red, which would also be a pink. Use red and then make a dark red, which would be red plus black. I could do this with blue violet. So I could do a light blue violet, dark blue violet. So I could choose any color off the color wheel. I just picked green for my example today. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back to my note sheet, and I'm going to pick another color scheme. And another one that students always have questions about is analogous. So I'm going to pick analogous here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out my color wheel, and I'm going to write down the word analogous. Now looking at the 2 ones that I've started, I have a lot of green, so I don't want to use that color again. So I think maybe I'm going to pick its opposite. I'm going to go with a red. So I'm going to create a red analogous color scheme. Remember, analogous means there are colors that are touching on the color wheel. So I think I'm going to do red, red, orange, orange, and I'm going to go ahead and do yellow orange. So I go with 4 colors. So again, red, red, orange, orange, and yellow orange. And they all share red as the common color. So they do have a color in common. So that'll work for that color scheme. And then the last color scheme I'm going to pick is complementary. So the rest of them, you'll notice that I have at least 3 colors. I can have more than 3 colors. Complementary is the exception. Complementary is the only one that you can do only 2 colors for. Otherwise, you need to have at least 3 colors for each paper. Maybe I'm going to do yellow, green, and red, violet. So I pick 2 colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Now I need to label the front. then for my Analogous, I need to go ahead and relabel this. So I'm going to start with red, red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, and then maybe I want to go backwards. So it doesn't matter to me what order you place these in. You just want to make sure that you don't have two of the same color right next to each other. So now I've gone ahead and I have all four of my color schemes labeled, and I can take a look at these and just make sure that everything looks correct. You'll probably want to have the teacher check to make sure that you did your color schemes correctly before you start painting. And then the next step, once you have all of them labeled, and the reason I ask you to label them, you're actually going to hop around when you paint. You're not going to paint one right after another to avoid mixing of wet paint. So that is one of the reasons why I do ask you to label them and to make sure you don't forget a color. But back to your next step, once you have them all labeled, but you're going to take and you're going to erase, you can see I started this earlier, but you're going to erase your pencil lines so they're nice and light. One of the things that we want to do is have the edges of our shapes defined by the colors of paint rather than our pencil marks. So you'll notice that I'm taking my eraser, and there should be some bigger erasers up on the front table. I'm doing this video at home, so I don't have access to one of those. So I'm just using the eraser on my pencil. You want to erase so they're nice and light, but not so much that you can't see your pencil lines or your color codes, but you want to have them light enough that the paint can hide them. I do have students who forget this step and they start painting, and they come up to me and they're like, I can still see my Y for yellow. What do I do? Well, unfortunately, once you start painting, there's not much you can do except make sure that you erase your lines for your next set. So make sure before you start painting any of them that you take some time to erase the lines so they're nice and light, but so you can still see them. Okay, once you have this step finished, now you are ready to paint. So it's time to go ahead and start your next tutorial on how to paint your color squares.